Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Morning Line with Nancy. We are in the agenda segment and we will be looking at the MSMEs, issues surrounding finance, policies, and general development of the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Our guests are in the studio. Rabiu Tuko Hassan, Managing Director, MSME Trust Fund Limited, sitting by my left. Good morning, Mr. Rabiu.
Good morning.
Morning. And Michael Oluwagbemi, Co-Founder, Wennovation Hub, sitting towards my right, is in the studio. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning. I will start with Rabiu. Nigeria is in its first recession in 25 years.
Yeah.
And the MSMEs, are also feeling this pinch. As someone who is in, that, you can call it the MSME subsector, what is it like right now surviving?
I think the recession has beaten more hardly the MSMEs, much more than it had done with the bigger companies, bigger institutions that have a lot of economic flesh. Most of our MSMEs are institutions that are trying to make a living out of opportunities within the environment with smaller capital, weaker governance, and with basically lack of access to the various support systems and support schemes of the government. Nigerians are very ingenious. I mean, with the way things are going, I think the MSME sector is actually worst hit. And of course, despite the contribution of the MSME sector to the economy, you find that the recession has actually created a lot of havoc in the ecosystem. In the ecosystem, creating newer MSMEs, exploiting more opportunities, and then opportunities to grow the economy has been weakened, given the fact that the MSME sector, which is a very large component of the economy, has not been comfortably doing well with the economic development, the recession particularly.
Okay, so we will say that the numbers, because I know data is usually an issue, but I think that during the last survey on MSMEs, I think they were put about 38 million SMEs.
Those are that was the baseline survey.
Yes, the baseline
survey that was done.
Following what you just said, now will I be right if I say the number has reduced?
I think it may not necessarily be the number. The number may have increased, but the quantum of effects, economic effects, have declined. The capacity of this MSME to generate employment, generate income and growth opportunities, grow the economy has been weakened. Generally, it is not about the numbers. It's about the quantum of economic activity that they create and the effect it will have on the overall economy. That should be the most important thing for us to look at. And of course, I believe very much that so many, issues in the environment, from politics, economics, and so many things have actually been hampering negatively on the contribution, on the efficacy of these MSMEs to grow the economy to the level that will be comfortable and that the economy can benefit from.
All right, Mr. Michael, do you think, regarding entrepreneurship now, do you think we need a certain level of entrepreneurial education? Because you see, especially young entrepreneurs going into entrepreneurship, they don't really have the basic knowledge of what it takes to run a business, how you have to put two and two together to get the best out of it. Do you think in Nigeria we need to see more of entrepreneurship education amongst young people?
Thank you very much once again for having me on the show. I think our experience on the field, at least from the work we do in the tech sector, is that there needs to be a lot more infused just across our education system, period, in terms of relevant education. We are putting out graduates that seems to have nice certificates, but not the requisite knowledge for the economy of today. We're producing graduates with curriculum of 1940s and 50s, when we have a 2017 economy that is mainly knowledge-based. And that's what. But even on top of that is these other requirements. We are a country that creates only 62,000 jobs every year, but we put out about 1.5 million graduates from our different institutions, secondary school, university, polytechnic, all across board. We put 1.5 million and we only create 62,000 jobs. So there's a massive gap between what we are, the usefulness of what we are even creating, that's the 1.5 million graduates we're putting out there in the first place, and even the jobs that we are making available for them. So therefore, a lot of them are driven to go into what I call survivor entrepreneurship. And so what you have with survivor entrepreneurship is just to make ends meet. And so in that case, you quickly see that the handicap of the education they were given in the first instance. Because if they were given an education that allows them to build something, an education that allows them to create something, then survivor entrepreneurship should not be a problem. That should be a good thing for the country. But in our own instance, you have a lot of students that have gone through the education system that do not even have the basic knowledge of what's the difference between revenue and profit. What's the meaning? What's the essential difference between what your turnover is and what is available for spending for a businessman? How to make your book? What is the idea? How do you incorporate a company? And what are the legal ramifications of having a company registered as a business name or an enterprise versus registering it as a fully legal entity, a partnership versus a non-partnership? I mean, those basic things, which we should, I would think that if we had a very solid business studies curriculum in our secondary school, for example, that should be infused with entrepreneurship. There's no reason why anybody that's coming out of SS3 should not be able to go out and start their own business. I mean, a lot of the great businesses we've seen in the world today were started by high school dropouts, university dropouts, college dropouts. So probably have 1 year. Bill Gates had 1 year in Harvard.
Yeah.
So Steve Jobs did not finish. So they could only go onto the wall to create something that is insanely great, like the companies they've built, because their secondary school education was solid. But even more so, their primary school education have to have been even more solid. So in this country, we are leaving quite a number of children behind. We've grossly neglected our education system for a long time. And it's not so much about the schools. Yes, the schools matter, the fiscal schools matter, and a tour of any of the states or local governments, visiting any of the public schools, will reveal that we've not invested even in the fiscal infrastructure. But even more so is the intangible things, the curriculum, the teaching methods. I mean, in Nigeria today, it's still the fact of the day that lecturers are gods and teachers are final say. Whereas in the world we live in today, in order for you to be innovative and to think outside the box, to think without the box, which is innovation, you need to question even the most basic thing. Like, why are you sitting on that chair? Why is sitting down the
earlier on you mentioned that you are a tech person, someone in the tech world, and you said we are required to think outside the box. But now my question is, have we fully harnessed using technology to develop the business environment in Nigeria? Because the world is a global village, and advanced countries have actually passed the level that we are in Nigeria now. Are we properly harnessing technology to develop businesses in the country?
There's no doubt in my mind that you can only work within the constraint of the environment that you're in. We've tried in our little way. So I've seen businesses take advantage of social media. I've seen in Nigeria here today, even in your own sector, the broadcasting sector. Once upon a time, you have to just go to a TV and watch. Now you can stream. So Nigerian businesses have tried, I mean, to be honest, given the constraint of the macro environment in which they exist. That said, there's a lot more that could be done, and that can only, I always say something, there's a reason why governments exist. We can't replace our government. I'm sorry. You're going to go only so far as you can do by yourself. So we need to now look at what do we need to do to invest in the common shared infrastructure, things like broadband technology that is going to come into major cities, that is going to ensure that we have high broadband penetration so that it can drive technology at the grassroots, so that MSMEs, and even I think a lot of times, let's define what is that MSME space. And this is the reason why when you said 38 million, yes, but I think in that 38 million, when I looked at the numbers, there needs to be a breakout about what really constitutes MSME, because there's a part we call the micro businessmen, the micro entrepreneurs, the cottage industries. These are probably about 90% of that number. So these are one-man institution, two-man, family business, 2 or 3 man farm, we count those as MSME, but the truth is the contribution is not as great as it should be. So to really get those cottage industry to move into the true SMEs and to get the SMEs to move into the true corporates, then we need to invest in a shared infrastructure, power. You cannot have a thriving technology space or a thriving technology business or a business that is underpinned by technology without constant power. So these are issues that we need to talk about: broadband penetration, power, education. Again, a knowledge economy in 2017 will be based on a solid education system. We don't have one.
That's true.
Rabiu,
Yeah.
MSMEs are the engine rooms, of economies.
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
we've spoken about the fact that currently it's not easy for MSMEs to
It
operate.
has not been.
Now, how would you look at the approach of the current administration towards making things better for entrepreneurs and generally the MSME sector?
Yeah, I think to build on some of the postulations of my friend here is that what needs to be done by government will start right from the incubation at the primary level. Now, the cycle begins with making sure you have the right kind of mindset right from primary schools through to secondary school and into the university system. Now, the second thing is every business that thrives in a growing, stable and growing environment has a higher probability of succeeding. And the role of government cannot just be underemphasized, because government is supposed to be, seems to be a facilitator. In fact, when you look at, if we go down into the books and the records, you will see that government business is to support businesses in the economy, from small to medium to large. Support in the sense that putting all the necessary incentives, putting all the infrastructure right, and putting all the regulations right. You look at the economy starting from, my colleague has concluded and done a very good analysis of what is needed at the primary level. I mean, at the level of churning out individuals, educated individuals that needs to take the opportunities in the market, in entrepreneurship. And then the next stage is, do we have an economic environment that will allow MSMEs and businesses generally to thrive? These are political issues, and of course politicians will tell you. The body language of the government, not now and even previously, has suggested that government is only sensitive it's more serious with the road shows than the fundamentals that needs to be put in place to actually drive entrepreneurship and MSMEs. Let me give you a typical example. Nigeria's ranking in the doing business report still remain very bad. Yeah. In fact, we are somewhere in the midst of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the rest still. I mean, 169 out of 199. You know, it's not a good rating, and that suggests that for an entrepreneur to be able to scale through all the regulatory hurdles, to come up with this institution that can be able to exploit economic opportunities, create value, and then grow the economy, I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult. That is why the insistent cases of business failure is all over. Bad loans all over, because no matter how your fundamental analysis are, you find that one factor negates the entire project. When you don't have access to constant electricity supply, I mean, no matter how viable your business plan is, I mean, it can't go anywhere. And then, so you can produce, you don't have access to market, you don't have access to credit. Most of the credit, 98% of the credit that comes from the formal financial institutions come by way of loans. Yeah. Loans generally, and looking at the perspective from the developed economy, do not grow micro entrepreneurs. Small loans can do that for very small entrepreneurs, but for growing entrepreneurs, you need a mix of financing. I mean, between the equity, between the loan component to grow these institutions to where they are. The rate of growth of micro institutions into medium-sized institutions and from medium into large institutions is very, very small in Nigeria. That is why when you look back into history, You were speaking about the performance of the stock market. I mean, how many companies listed on the second tier market has grown into in the last 10 years? Basically, you have less than 5. And so these are some of these indicators that will tell you that definitely government needs to do more, and the polity needs to be more focused on the economics, other than the frivolities that we usually hear on the pages of the newspapers and the media. I mean, frivolities, you understand what I mean. The government body language should be about how to grow the economy, not who gets this position or that, or who wears this or that, and stuff like that. The body language of the administration does not seem to speak from the perspective of an economy that is in a recession. And of course, every institution is trying its best, but I think we need to see more. I mean, to drive the economy, to rekindle the hopes of Nigerians, and then so that we grow.
Okay, talking about body language of the current administration, the Presidential Enabling Business Committee, has been trying in recent times to try and improve the situation. Now, for you, looking at what they have been doing or what they have done so far, how would you rate, that Presidential Committee, and what are those areas that you think they need to look at, to help enable business in Nigeria?
The committee, I believe, was set up about 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
so it's still very early to score them. I think the first thing that that it talked about was one, trying to make registration of business faster. So there's no reason why registration of business should take upward of 6 months, 9 months, as it takes today. This can be done in 48 hours. You are basically registering a company, the name of it, and these things should be. And we have a massive organization, a CAC, that is supposed to manage this, and they've not been able to get it to 48 hours, as far as I know, up to now. But that's the target, and it has to be. It's a no-brainer. This thing can be totally automated on a computer without even human intervention. So I don't know why. It's a matter of searching name, making sure you don't repeat name, and just register the company. It's as simple as that. So you really don't need human beings to do it. Mm-hmm. So, and then it's taking us 6 months and 9 months to get it done. That's one. The second thing is ease of working through the permits process in all these government agencies. And again, automation. Something was tried in Georgia, for example, where basically the government said if you submit an application for anything, including oil block, banking license, and civil servants don't deal with it in 48 hours, you get it automatically. Try that in Nigeria, you see how quickly everybody will get to work. Because if you don't answer me, I will get my license. Maybe we should need to try those kind of disruptive method to disrupt the public service, because we have a public service today that basically seems to exist only to kill business, to be honest with you. I mean, and the public service cannot employ everybody. They constitute only about 1.2% of the population, but they take 90% of the budget, if not more. Yeah. So we use 90% of our budget to pay their salaries, and then they're only 1.2% of the population. So we need to look very seriously at things to make the public service respond faster and quickly to the needs of business people. The third thing is travel. To be honest with you, any of our port of entry to Nigeria today is also disgrace. I'm hoping that the visit of the then acting president and vice president to the Lagos airport was just the first step. I passed through Kaduna airport yesterday, and to be honest with you, I mean, if I'm coming to Nigeria for the first time, in my experience going back and forth, I will never come back again. And so if your airport cannot speak well of you, then I'm very sure that the seaport is worse. I don't use the seaport because I'm not in that business, but I'm sure those people that know it have horrible tales to say about the same experience. And then we talk about our land ports. So these three things are areas which they are focused on, but I also will also emphasize that all those things they are doing are just intervention methods for the business that are existing today. Ultimately, you need to, if you want business to, the biggest tax on business today in Nigeria is power. Any business you can take, I can ask any businessman, anybody doing business in Nigeria, even if you own just a single piece of land and you have a small farm, your generator is the highest cost to that business. Exactly. So if today we solve our power problem, we would have given about a 60 to 70% tax cut to all business people. Exactly. But what's the solution to our power problem? It's very simple. We keep doing this thing and we think that it's magic. No, the biggest government in the world, the government of the United States of America, does not provide power to its people. It's done by the private sector. But then the private sector does not find itself owned by the central government. So why are we still insisting that the central government of Nigeria will continue to hobble the process of producing power, devolve it? So the solution is simple, and our legislators, they keep concerning themselves about who is wearing uniform and who is not. Maybe what they need to focus on is to go into the constitution and delete power from the exclusive list.
Simple.
Very simple. And you see everybody will have power.
All right, Rabi, on to you now. He said something about survival entrepreneurship, where people just go into businesses to make ends meet.
Yeah.
How do we produce entrepreneurs that are value oriented and not just profit making, not looking for quick returns? Because most of these young entrepreneurs these days, I own a business, you own a business, okay, we'll produce this. But when you bring it out to the fore, it's nothing to write home about. How do we produce entrepreneurs that will look for value in products?
Exactly. I think the other name I call survival entrepreneurs is subsistence entrepreneurship. I mean, people that are just in business to feed and then sustain life. And the moment you go into business with that, of course, there's an issue. I mean, because somebody do not have broader and visionary look of the kind of the effort he's going to put, and or the probability that the kind of effort he's going to put can create institutions that can change nations. Now, the most fundamental thing, like we suggested, is right from the mentoring and the training. And people that undergo trainings in our tertiary institutions should be trained as entrepreneurs for the purpose of creating value and growing the economy, as against people that go into entrepreneurship because they don't have a paid employment. Yeah. And as long as the mentality, is not changed from being a businessman that intends to create value, grow the economy for the betterment of everybody, this syndrome is going to continue to persist within the system. And the probability of a business that is started for the purpose of just making a living, and that compared with that of a business that somebody starts with a vision. People you've cited, the Microsoft guys, they sat in the basement, they could not perform well, they sat in the basement and dreamt that they want to change the way the world works. Yeah. And in 30 years, that has been achieved. These are the kind of mentality, the kind of thoughts that we need our young entrepreneurship right through the training and mentorship to begin to evolve in their daily and routines.
Okay. Let me quickly, he has said that we have such people in this country. Now, the new Development Bank of Nigeria that is focusing on micro MSMEs, do you see it being able to change some of these issues in helping people like that we may have in Nigeria? In 1 minute.
Yeah, well, I think the bank, its mandate is actually not to the SMEs directly.
Yeah.
It's actually to other banks.
The other banks.
But I see it as, we've created so many. Again, you look at a counttre where we have SMEDAN, we have BOI, I can continue to name all these organizations. Where everybody is having a driver, a cleaner, a car driver, more secretaries, and less money is getting to the entrepreneurs. So the honest truth is that if I were advising the president and his team, is to say, let's look at all these varying structures that we've created to support small businesses that is not working, and collapse them into one. Yeah. And then make it a very simple proposition. We're going to put a desk officer from this a single institution that we're going to create in, just like what we have in the United States called the Small Business Administration. We put a desk officer from SBA inside each bank. An existing bank. We all have banks. All the business people in the world have banks. So you just go to our bank. Go to your bank and go to the desk officer that is in charge of a government grant program or something that get money to you. So why are we creating 2, 3, 4, 5 new institutions? Okay, in this particular instance, they want to attract money from overseas. Maybe that's why they're creating it.
That's it.
But is it good? The money going to get to the source?
Thank you very much. Yeah. We've been looking at issues surrounding entrepreneurship and generally development of that sector. Finance, power issues have been raised, and we hope the government is actually listening, to try and see how we can change, the current situation, because no doubt the MSMEs are key, especially in job creation. But that's the much we can take for today. Thank you, Rabi Tuko-Hassan, for joining us, and
Michael
Oluwagbemi. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for staying tuned to the program. We'll be here again tomorrow to bring you the last edition for the week. My name is Ehizo J. Momo.
And I am Christiana Amodu. Do have a lovely day ahead.